This whole time, I thought I was actually talking, but my microphone was muted. That is the beauty of technology. Welcome to Rice TVX and the latest episode of the Rice Crypto Show. Today is January the 28th, 2022. This is the latest episode of Crypto Rewind, covering the last week in crypto news. Gonna get things started for you here in just moments. I will be joined by my co-host as usual, Satoshi Sean, and our guest this week is Seth from MineYour.Biz. And before we begin today's live stream, a few quick messages from the sponsors of Rice TVX, and you can find information in the video description for Presearch, Monarch, and BitSwap DEX.
BitSwap is the hottest new way to trade tokens. Crawling all the top decentralized exchanges, BitSwap will get you the very best price and value for your trades. BitSwap is changing the game. Try it now at bitswapdex.com.
And we are currently live streaming on both Rice TVX and Rice TVX2. So make sure you are subscribed to both channels. They can both be obviously found on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to Satoshi Sean's channel and MineYour.Biz, and the links are in the video description. And be sure to tune in tomorrow, Saturday, the 29th. I will be premiering my interview with Hotep Jesus. That was my second interview. It's about his book, The Patriot Report, and we're going to be talking about the Federal Reserve, a little bit of American history, and a lot more. So make sure you stay in tune. That's going to be coming out on Saturday, the 29th at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time. So make sure you're checking that out. Now, make sure you're taking advantage of my partnership with Money Metals Exchange. As much as I love cryptocurrency, I encourage people to diversify, especially with precious metals, gold and silver. You can get a free half ounce of silver, and it's another way to support the channel. And here's how you can do it. If you are looking to purchase and invest in precious metals, gold and silver are both good safe haven assets to hedge against the financial collapse we are experiencing. Check out Money Metals Exchange. I partnered up with them and you can get a free half ounce of silver. Visit moneymetals.com, be a first-time buyer, purchase a minimum of $100, and use the promo code RICE. You get a free half ounce of silver, and it's another way to support the channel. All right, now if you want to support Satoshi Sean's channel, you can also use his promo code, which is just simply Sean. And I hope I got that correct this time, but I will be pulling in my co-host, Mr. Satoshi Sean. So what's going on, my friend? You're muted. On your own accord.
Or was I muted? I'm pulling a McAfee on you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can tell when you're muted because you see how StreamYard works. But
it's going pretty good, man. How you been doing?
Been good, man. Been good. Aside from being sick, which we'll talk. I'll talk with you a little bit more about that after the show. What I'm going to start trying to do, because I've had some complaint with various different videos, is I've been making the beginning of the video kind of like a catch up, and we could do that on our own time and just kind of get right into the show, get right into the news, so that way we're not really wasting any time. I did want to kind of check my messages and find out where Seth is at, because he is supposed to be joining us. I do appreciate it. Originally, we were going to stream last week, but I was sick. Litecoin Lisa was going to be our guest. She couldn't make it this week because she's having some family issues that you're probably aware of.
Yeah.
So she's got a rain check. So hopefully when things get better on her end, she'll be on the show. But I want to go ahead real quick and do a quick screen share with your YouTube channel, because I definitely encourage people to make sure they're going over to your YouTube channel and subscribing. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you're subscribed. And then if you are subscribed, make sure you're still subscribed. I'm getting really close to the 25,000 subscriber mark, and YouTube has been shedding numbers throughout the month, kind of taking me further and further away from that. So I'm like a little over 500 away from 25,000. So if you're not subscribed, I would definitely appreciate it. And also over on Rice TV X2 as well. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I am. What's going on, my friend? And Gulag G's in the house. Let me see here. Have not gotten a message from Seth, so we're just going to go ahead and get right into the news. But I will let people know that I did do an interview with him that was posted about 2 weeks ago, and it's about his de-Googled phone that he has. And if people would like to take advantage and get one of these phones, it's you can use the promo code Chris Rice, all one word, and I believe you get 10% off. And the refurbished ones are probably better deals. The renewed ones, if you're interested in getting one of the devices, the Pixel 4 or the Pixel 4 XL, but definitely adding a lot more privacy to what you're doing with your phone. And I talked about using it as a device connected to the Wi-Fi without a SIM card, and they're not really being any tie back to me on that phone in any capacity, and being able to utilize it for various different things that I want to remain private. So I would definitely encourage people to check those out. And I didn't want to go into a lot of news about this. I just want to mention, because I think it's really hilarious, because we've talked about it before, but the Solana blockchain is suffering another outage. So it's like this, and I saw somewhere recently where the CEO of FTX, Sam Bankman-Friedman, or whatever his name is, talking about Solana blockchain still being the best blockchain, even though they've had all these issues and had to shut down the.
It was twice in 1 week, man. I mean,
I know.
Been...
So I think this makes 4 or 5 times now.
Yeah.
I think it was 4 already with the 2 that happened in a week. So this would be I think the 5th.
Yeah. But that's not bad when you look at it as long as it's been around, you know?
Oh yeah, it's been around forever.
Yeah. So
I love the sarcasm.
Yeah.
It's just, I just want to just point this out because obviously I'm not a huge fan of Solana at all, period. So Seth has not messaged back, and he's not in. I made sure he had the right link. Maybe something came up on his end because it was kind of short notice on mine, but we'll see. I did add this, and this is actually something I found from his channel. He put out
I had just heard about that today.
He put out a video earlier today, right after I had already collected the news, and the news is very political related, crypto centric. There's a lot of other news that we could have covered, but these were, like I've mentioned before, I feel like the most important ones, and they cover a lot of aspects of things that I wanted to highlight. So I think and it's really cool that you're seeing state senators introducing bills to make Bitcoin legal tender.
I think states need to start really doing a lot more, period.
States' rights, kind of like what Texas has been doing.
They have to try to pull away a bit from, I know that a lot of states have trouble with that when, the federal government flexes their money muscle. But it's just like other countries, that we've weaponized the dollar against. I think states really need to start standing up and just do it, man, because it's always so much better to be handled on the local level. And Rice, I was talking about this on the show I just got done doing. Stuff that like Beatles was doing and all with the, taking back things locally. I really started to believe that was a good thing and that was going to work. But then you look at the school boards, and there's nothing more local than your school board thing. And the federal government jumped in and labeled them all as domestic terrorists, and they're starting, task force against that. That's like ridiculous. Even if the local like parents were violent or threatening or whatever, that's still local sheriff and police business.
Right. No, I get it, man. It's, I mean, it's really, I mean, I've had a lot of discussions about the federal government and what they've done, because states should and are supposed to govern themselves. They are nations of themselves. They have their own constitution, their own governments, and they're a part of a confederation of nations that we call the United States. So with the federal government trying to supersede and come in and tell anybody what should and shouldn't be done is obviously the argument that our founding fathers had with the Federalist versus anti-Federalist, strong central government, which is also a basis of Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto book. So it's interesting to see how close we are to that ideology today, as compared to when that book and those ideas came out in the mid 1800s. It was the same time period as the Civil War, because I did read somewhere that there was mail communication via the mail service, not the sex mail, between Lincoln
it's probably both.
and Marxist and
everything
Karl
was
Marx.
run by dudes back then, so.
But yeah, Lincoln and Karl Marx. So it's interesting, but I thought that Arizona was one of the states that had gold and silver as legal tender, even though by the Constitution, gold and silver are legal tender. Not all states accept it as legal tender. I think Texas is one, Utah's another. I thought Arizona was one. Nevada might be one of the others. But
Nevada, Utah, those are big, gold and silver.
So we'll see. We'll see it, how, and I'm not sure how this will work. I mean, I know that Nevada's made crypto tax exempt on a state level. So I mean, this is obviously just a state level, and any business can decide to take Bitcoin if they so choose to do so. But I thought it was cool that we're seeing that being done on a state level, especially when you look at all the plethora of other crappy news. So these are all linked down below too for people. But Biden is preparing executive orders on cryptocurrencies, and so he's going to be looking at the Federal Reserve and other government agencies to talk about risk and opportunities presented by digital currencies, and I guess the threat or benefits, and how it can or could or would or whatever affect national security, which is, I wouldn't say affecting national security. It would do exactly what Hillary Clinton said in those clips that we play all the time, which is undermine the US dollar and its status as a world reserve currency. So what are your thoughts on this executive order that's supposed to take place, and it's supposed to be issued as early as early February? I don't know why I was going to say early February, but issued as early as February of 2022, which is right around the corner.
I think most of it's just fear of China and us trying to get ahead of the CBDC. I think it's all BS. I think that I think Clinton still pulls a lot of strings when it comes to the deep state and how things are run. I don't know. I've been saying for a while that I think we're gearing up for the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think people need to open their eyes and need to not comply with a lot of this stuff, because this is like the end game for banks. This is they see the control slipping away, so they're going to try to grab it.
Have you seen any of the news? And I didn't see these stories because, again, there's a lot to cover. But I've been hearing something in regards to, and it was Crypto Zombie that shared it on one of his videos from that Martini guy, where he was talking about England, the UK wanting to be dominant in the cryptocurrency space in a lot of different areas. So And then a lot of people were speculating that Russia was going to be negative on crypto, but it looks like they want to take now a strong stance and going in a positive direction. We have obviously what's going on in China with the distribution of their miner network, and then their CBDC that's it's already in test mode. But has the Olympics already started, or is it anytime? I'm kind of off on that.
I think it started.
Okay, so I mean, it was supposed to be functional for that, so I'm not quite sure. It looks like Seth did make it, so let me get ready to pull him in here in just a second, and I'll go ahead and throw up his YouTubes so people can go over there and do that subscribe thing and all that good stuff. What's up, homie?
Hey, sorry for the lateness there, guys. I got messed up with my time zones. I thought we were starting a little bit later in my local time zone.
No, it's all good, dude. You're not East Coast time?
I'm not, no, but I mean,
I keep forgetting that. I keep forgetting that you're not East Coast. My bad. But yeah, I'm just glad that you made it, dude. All we did was really talk a little bit about the Arizona bill that's introducing Bitcoin as legal tender, and I found out about it from your channel. It's your latest video, so people can.
He's lying, man. He's talking crap about you, dude. He said you're funny. So that guy can't read a clock, man. Why isn't he here? Oh my god.
It's all warranted, man. Everything you heard is true.
Well, it's all on video. So Sean's just making up stories like I make up stories. But we were talking about the executive order that Biden's going to be put in place, where he's talking to various federal agencies to get their assessment on risks and opportunities and threats and benefits and etc.
I think when you're talking about hearing stuff, like with Russia and the UK.
We started talking about the UK apparently is wanting to get highly involved in cryptocurrencies and be dominant in the cryptocurrency game.
Yeah, I think when you hear stuff, unless you're talking about China, what you're hearing is a side. Like just like you can watch Fox and you'll hear something completely different than what you would hear on CNN or MSNBC.
Right.
So unless there's a total grip on all media sources like China, you're going to hear from both sides. I think that there are elements in Russia that want to completely shut down cryptocurrency. And then I think that there are also elements that know that it's the future and that the technology itself is massive. Just like in the United States, there's a lot of senators and people in the government that want to stop it, that want to crush it, that are, backed by payment companies, that are backed by banks. And then there's a lot of people that are smart and they see the future of basically they will be left behind if we don't. And they can see that. So I think when we hear certain things, we're hearing different sides of it, and we have to take it all with a grain of salt and kind of try to look for different sources.
Yeah,
you hear that
we don't have real journalism that's unbiased. It's just giving us it. Pretty much everything is painting you into a direction. What do you think about this, Seth? Just the whole idea of the executive order, whether or not it'll be positive or negative, and what's going on internationally with the UK and Russia potentially wanting to get highly involved in the cryptocurrency space.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Russia and former Eastern Bloc countries already are highly involved in the cryptocurrency space, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not. It's a permissionless system. So, I mean, mining, certainly there are plenty of, like, good grief. This morning I hosted a live stream for one of the largest mining software companies in the world. They're based in Ukraine. Which I realize it's a point of contention right now. It's not Russia, but like the point is that side of the world is very interested in being involved in cryptocurrencies and in all the infrastructure, right? So validators for these proof of stake coins, the infrastructure that we don't like to think about when we just use the cryptocurrency, somebody has to manage. And the whole like stereotype of the crazy Russian hacker guy, that guy wants to manage it. He wants to run a validator node or to run a mining farm and become crypto rich, it's something that these people want. But
like Crypto Rich, the YouTuber?
Yeah, no. Yeah. I don't even know if Crypto Rich wants to be crypto rich. Sometimes. I don't know. We all have our days. But
Thought it was funny.
Yeah, it was good. But just saying, like, yeah, I think these sides of the world, I think whether we like it or not, they've been involved, right? So many cryptocurrency projects have been launched in London, for example. It used to be a very common thing to have projects launched.
Right, but the government taking a positive stance and the government wanting to get more involved is definitely a little bit of a change that we're not seeing publicly, because there may be some action happening on the backside that we're not aware of, but
yeah,
it's not been, we know about companies in different countries, but we haven't really heard about these specific countries themselves wanting to get.
Politicians are going to do what benefits them the most.
But just notice how it stepped up. I mean, it went.
Honestly, the last stuff out of Russia that I heard, it was Putin. So you don't throw, it's not Russia. They were throwing Putin around, and I thought they were just seriously going to start crushing crypto, like a lot of the stuff that I heard. And then it was so extreme, I was like, oh, maybe it really is. They're going to follow China because they're buddies a little bit. So I was thinking it might come to pass, but now I don't know, because it's different.
Right.
So,
I mean, plus, it's going to look. Your countries are definitely going to look controlling if they make things like Bitcoin and decentralized cryptocurrencies difficult and a lot of regulation and hoops to jump through, and then make it super easy to use their CBDC. Because that is going to start making people question, well, why is your CBDC better than Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever cryptocurrency I want to utilize? So, and a lot of people are starting to show signs of being tired of the government in general. I mean, we've seen all the various protests, and now we have something monumental happening up in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Shout out to that trucker convoy, which I want to do a show about. I got Colin Payton from Presearch up there, and there's some other folks. I want to try to get some video and some on the ground.
It's pretty massive. Man. From what I've heard, it's monumental.
Yeah, so a lot of changes in the air. So I mean, that's why I would like to think that these new crypto rules are going to be more in a positive direction. I mean, obviously, we're going to have KYC and AML kind of related issues, because that's just what the banking system does. But aside from that, I mean, hopefully, we're not going to see like a lot of negativity, and this really won't affect the market. Because somebody was saying in the comments, it was I didn't buy the last dip. I think the executive order would be the next dip to buy into. And so I'm not really sure. It's just going to be, obviously, we have to see what comes out and see what's being said.
Also, there's institutional money here now. And with institutional money, you've got political power. So I don't think it's going to be as bad as it would have been 2 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? We have, I mean, for all the badness of having, being in bed with these people, we're in bed with these people, and they control a lot of people in the government, So
you're right.
Their interests align with our interests for the time being. So,
well, at least there's some.
I worry about a little bit though. I mean, Satoshi Sean, I worry about that because their interests will only align with our interests for so long as it puts them at an advantage for the future. Well, we know from big tech in particular, right? They lobbied to get themselves into a position that politicians couldn't foresee 15 years ago, and now all these politicians are like, "Oh my gosh, like we're controlled by big tech."
Well, I mean,
it could happen next time around with
also
crypto.
in the short term, if they allow this to go through,
they're going to be
if there's a massive dip like Iam's talking about, that could be what they want. They could buy up the last bit, and then it's unconstitutional. We got to get rid of that. Oh, that was it's not. That's the thing. It's not beyond the realm of the people that we're talking about, the institutions that we're talking about. That's not beyond the scope of their reach. When you're talking about Clinton and other people.
But with all the money printing that was going on, we weren't seeing them it's not like the thought never crossed my mind. If you're going to print out money, why not just buy all the Bitcoin?
Yeah.
But obviously, using BlackRock and other institutions and how the Federal Reserve acted, that wasn't in their, for whatever reason, their interest. I mean, we've confiscated cryptocurrencies that could just be the possession of the government that ends up getting auctioned off. Like Ross Ulbricht and Tim Draper scooping them up like a vulture. So, but this right here, next news piece is really good. And there's a petition following this that I want to share with everybody that I encourage people to sign up for. It's close to its goal. But North Carolina Representative McHenry, he's been known to do some positive things for cryptocurrency, and he's convinced that Congress should take crypto regulation away from executive agencies and courts. So, it's we're not really, you have all these different agencies that want to put their regulatory, they want to rule over crypto, and you can't have all these different agencies, mentioning like the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the FTCC, and the Security Exchange Commission, both wanted to be involved. The IRS wanted to be involved, which we'll talk more about them later. But and then there's the petition that people can go to at change.org. That is a petition to Senators Sherrod Brown and Pat Toomey and Representatives Maxine Waters and Patrick McHenry. Maxine Waters and Patrick McHenry were mentioned in this article. So you can sign this petition. It's like less than 1,000 away from their goal. I signed it earlier today, so I would definitely encourage people to do this. But what are your thoughts about this, Mr. Seth?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I love the way that the petition, the way it kicks off, they frame it really well by saying we're foreign investors, or foreign citizens rather, and digital asset holders who have been grievously harmed rather than protected by that agency. I love that language, man, because I mean, we're domestic citizens that have been harmed, grievously harmed by that agency, and they show no signs of helping us in the near future. So, yeah, hopefully there can be some change there.
Yeah. So, and then the idea that McHenry is trying to basically define who's going to be in charge of regulating cryptocurrencies and such. I mean, I think it's good that we've got people on our side. I think we'll see more lobbying. I know there's a lot of nonprofits out there like Coin Center. I heard Dapper Labs, I believe, is going to be doing some lobbying. I just heard something about. And so, I mean, I definitely see that kind of, if you're seeing the money being spent on sports arenas to get your name on there, I can see those same type of entities donating to lobbyists to push for legislation.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that takes a certain mindset, because you've got some groups where, like, I'm not going to name names, but some communities, like, they call themselves, Marines or Army or whatever in the cryptocurrency industry. And it's not like they don't have enough in treasuries from different, like, user organizations or from the foundations themselves, like you're saying, to go and spend on lobbyists. And I mean, they haven't done that for years now, unfortunately. Hopefully, I mean, if anything, hopefully the reaction to this kind of proposed legislation is for the cryptocurrency industry at large to just get off its butt and start doing this more seriously.
Yeah, I've talked so many times with people how it would be easy to just set up a DAO for lobbying, and easy to run, easy to do, easy to raise money.
Well, that would be one of the things that I've mentioned, I think, to both of you guys with this Political Action Committee PAC DAO, and make it for crypto education, lobbying, and also blockchain-based voting would be like the main focus points. So it's just something I need to get with everybody who I've mentioned it to and start getting the ball rolling on the idea. But I think we'll see a lot more of these kind of things existing as well.
Yeah, man, the crypto super PAC.
Yeah. I mean, it's the way to go. And I mean, it's get involved with things like that, support politicians, run for office yourself.
Yeah, see, that's a big deal for me.
Create bridges that are private and anonymous that allow for us to be able to utilize these technologies and not be hindered.
That's a big deal for me here in Texas, man, because all the stuff that Abbott has done for crypto and blockchain, massive stuff. But then there's stuff for freedom, which is very important. And I never thought that I would question anything for any politician that is like, I'm pro crypto, I'm pro blockchain, because the rest of it kind of goes with it. I'm like, I'm 100% behind you. But about 2 weeks ago, Abbott went to had a fundraiser in California at $25,000 a plate, which was just why it's California. So anyway, he came back and he's allowed some mandates to go through, which were originally, he said, no way. So, I mean, there's people running against him in the primary for the Republican nomination. One of them is Chad Prather, and I want to interview them. One of them, I mean, they're talking like part of their platform is secession. It's on the table as part of one of the things that they're running for. They're like, if the federal government's not going to play ball, we'll leave. I will leave, and like I'll leave under this, article this, article that, this. We'll do it, 100%. And the fact that that's being brought up as part of a.
Well, I mean, that kind of stuff has been set in the narrative with all the talk of civil war and unrest. There's I've
been here for a lot of elections, and it's never been part of the platform.
If you've not read or heard this, I haven't read the book, but if you've not heard of The Fourth Turning, look it up and check out George Gammon's interview with one of the authors. It's this idea of a cyclical nature of how we are as individuals and things that have happened during certain time periods and where we are in our time period in relation to this model. It talks about it like a de-evolution, civil war, kind of in a sense, you've got to destroy to rebuild, that kind of a period. And I mean, you can obviously see it where people are starting to get upset and fed up, but I mean, for now, the government's still seemingly in control. And the next article that I wanted to bring up was the Fed rate hike, the FOMC meeting that took place this week. That was just more steam, not backing up anything that they said. Even though
I love that if you look at it really, really fast, or if you just squint a little bit, FOMC looks like FOMO. It's great.
I never thought about that.
But
funk. But yeah, I mean, it's like most of the time, I mean, especially as much as the Federal Reserve has been talking about these rate hikes and what I've been calling, or what I've been hearing called, a taper tantrum. I think that's a great way of putting it, taper tantrum. And tapering back off the quantitative easing and injections that they've been putting into the whole system. The markets generally, when they hear this news in advance, are already kind of pricing it in. Generally. So I'm not sure why it was going to have so much of an effect. And if and when they do raise interest rates, and we're talking about 25 basis points, which is 0.25%. I think it's 0.25%. It's a really small number. And when they did this and it doesn't affect the markets, it's as if but people are sitting here freaking out. And it's as if, because I watched some of Gregory Mannarino stuff, he was mentioning that if the Federal Reserve would have done a rate hike, it would have been positive for the markets, and the markets would have taken off in a higher direction than they are now. In general, the stock markets, cryptocurrency, and such. But if they didn't do anything, that it was going to bring the markets down. You would think it would be the opposite, If they're leaving it alone, nothing's being changed, then it shouldn't have a negative effect. So I'm just not really sure what this bizarro world that we're living in. It's just, I'm really kind of getting confused as to what's happening on the political level and how much people are being snowballed. I'm still floored by the fact that politicians and Fed chairmen are allowed to utilize insider information and do insider trading when it's illegal for a football player to bet on his own team.
I think that's why this cryptocurrency legislation is taking place, Rice. I really do, because they want in. They don't know enough about crypto to be inside traders.
It's ridiculous, man. Yeah, because that gives them an industry to regulate, and when you have access to regulating an industry, you therefore have insider information that allows you to make more profitable investing choices. Your thoughts, Sean?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think another part is just seeing, like with all the stock stuff and GME and all that, they see regular people making money and becoming upper class. I mean, there really is a class system. There's a class system all throughout the world. You were talking Martini guy. And he said something years ago to me was so weird about voting, and he talked about it on a video he did. He said in America, everyone's vote counts the same. How insane is that? Like he said that like it was ridiculous and dumb. He didn't get it, and he legitimately didn't understand how that could be a thing. So this class system is ingrained in most people. But in us, we believe that it's not here in the United States. It totally is, man. There is a definite class system here.
Yeah, 100%.
There's also still slavery, but that's a huge tangent.
I mean, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it all kind of coincides with all this. I mean, I've mentioned that on BitBoy's show that
no, I think there
US
is
dollar, this debt-based system keeps us as slaves, 100%.
But the only difference is that now we give the slaves the illusion of freedom.
Right. They took the fence off the plantation, but we're still on a plantation.
Yeah, and and most minorities are grouped into to settlements, and most of those settlements, I mean, if you go through any low income, mainly black neighborhood
King Boulevard,
you can see the businesses that are there. Most Planned Parenthoods are
right. Your Dollar Trees and your Dollar Generals. You don't see a Target in those neighborhoods.
No, and also there's
different levels of store for different incomes and all that.
It's like bad food, it's bad for you food. It's cheap food. It's high chemical foods, all in those kind of stores in those neighborhoods. Like I said, also like the Planned Parenthood, high interest check cashing places and stuff like that. Right. That's all. It's all targeted there.
It's all by design.
Yeah, the debt traps in particular, like you're saying, Sean, the high interest rate stuff, the check cashing places, or any other place like finance your furniture. Good grief!
And then also
we buy gold here.
Comic. He's like, if you need to finance a mattress, you need to reevaluate your life, and you can't afford a mattress. It's a mattress. He was like, why is there a guy out there, spinning a sign about a mattress place? Mattresses are not impulse buys. No one's driving home is like, I'm gonna get me a mattress and just pulls over. So, but it's obvious if you step back, like so many other things. If you step back and take a look at it, and how people are controlled and the whole welfare system, how it's designed to suck you in and then keep you there. It's like, don't try to get any better, because if you make a little bit more money than this, we take it all away. So they incentivize people generationally to be stuck into that system, which is, it keeps you in one place. You can't move around. You can't go somewhere else. You don't have the money to go somewhere else to improve. It's all
the system is not designed for individuals to save money, because the money is worth less each year that you're saving it. So it turns into this complete vicious cycle. But let's try to get back on track for these last.
It's just slavery with extra steps.
No, I get it, dude. I mean, that's why I think we are all involved in crypto. The next article, which I'm sure is your favorite, the news of the Federal Reserve may unveil a national cryptocurrency, which should be a central bank digital currency, a CBDC, aka.
That's interesting though, because it didn't say digital currency. You said digital currency. That says cryptocurrency.
It also says
that's interesting.
The world's #1 digital currency by market cap. So it says
it would be
national cryptocurrency here. It lists digital currency here. I mean, they are basically, they being the government, are going to try to distinguish all digital asset type stuff as being digital currencies, and then there'll be different subcategories, and cryptocurrency will be one of those.
I was on a show with this guy who started talking. He's like, "Hey, have you heard about that new project? Are you going to invest in it?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Oh man, they just printed up like so many trillions of these coins, but they only have one verifier node." And he's like, "It just keeps saying all this crazy shit." I'm like, "That's the worst thing I ever heard." He goes, "Oh wait, it's not a project. It's the US dollar." I was like, "Okay, all right, you had me, you got me."
It's a huge problem, man. This is bad on so many levels. I was gonna try to heave. I don't know how you're feeling though, Rice. I didn't want to make you feel like,
No, I mean, I'm good at this point for the most part.
But it makes me want to throw up my mouth, brother. It just does. This is sick. But what the Fed is talking about here, first off, this news outlet, they kind of messed up. I was reading what you were reading, and they said that the market cap fell below the $40,000 mark. I don't think they understand what market cap is, but anyway, leaving that aside, FedCoin, man, what a serious problem it would be if the Federal Reserve released, first off, if they created something that they wanted to call a cryptocurrency, because it'd be a huge sort of like marketing psyop, right? Trying to get all the normies to believe that something that is as centralized as what they're issuing is a cryptocurrency or decentralized.
It would just be a digital asset, digital currency.
Yeah.
But the problem with it, it'll be a closed system. And then the other issue is the tracking and tracing.
Well, then beyond that, the tracking and tracing paired with the fact that they still have their finger on the print button. I mean, we know that with digital currencies, even if they're like centralized, if you don't want to call them decentralized or cryptocurrencies, we know how, we've been in it long enough to see how easy it is for some of these teams to include a mint function on their smart contract and just decide like, oh, we're going to double the supply. Oh, token split. Hey, you know what? Dividend, airdrop, like they can do whatever they want depending on how that smart contract is written. And dollars to donuts. These guys, just their history, they're not even going to use anything like Ethereum. They're going to use something that's like way more esoteric and pinky in the air, like graphene blockchain or something.
It's in the works. I mean, they want to get rid of cash
so that
they can track and trace you. Then you have this competition, like the space race. Now you have like the CBDC race.
I think that's a big part of it with China. There's a big part of that, the race. But something that gave me some hope in the past like week or two. Certain governments started talking about, like it was Australia, New Zealand, I'm sure was one, but also UK and Canada, I think, was also throwing this around, that if you don't get the stick, that you are going to be, all these countries have universal health care, but if you don't get the stick, you're going to be responsible for any health stuff that you have to go to the hospital for, if it's related to that or something similar.
And they're wanting to tax people in Canada if you don't have a job.
But even people that are like completely, kill them if they don't get the stick. Even those people are like, hold on a minute.
Kill the people who don't want a vacation.
Even those people were like, whoa, hold on, government. You're talking about healthcare. You don't mess with that. Because if you can do that to them, then I smoke 2 packs a day
over our body.
Well, it's that I smoke 2 packs a day. You could flip that on me and say, "Hey, man, anything related to your smoking, we're not going to cover. Or you could say, hey, you're 30 pounds overweight. Anything related to, obesity, which is like a million different health things, you're going to have to take care of. And now with any kind of, and they even brought this up, if you can trace any spending, if you have a cholesterol problem and you have stuff at McDonald's, they could literally, if
Yeah,
your
well, I mean, that's what I'm
healthcare
sayand they can
and your
limit.
money is tracked, that goes
Right.
together.
They
They're
can
gonna send the
limit
Boston
nobody-
Dynamics cyber dog after you, and it's
Even
gonna like kick you in the ass.
ultra left crazy kill
Well,
the
that's what I'm saying. That's
kill
the
the Nazi
idea.
thinkers. They could see this.
Collecting
So
the
if they
big
could
data.
see this and they called it out right away, it makes me have a little bit of hope that the people will put a chain on the government when it comes to this.
We shall see. I mean, people are wearing all these biometric devices, these watches that talk about people's health, what they eat, all these different things to compile additional information that's being compiled so that, yes, when we get into a system, and they did this in China with their digital yuan, the money had to be, the currency, not money, I had to correct myself. The currency had to be spent in a certain amount of time and could only be spent at certain places. And then they can limit you. Let's say you've been a bad citizen and you've got some negative points on your record because some people narked on you or whatever. Now you can't go to certain restaurants. Now you can't
shop
go to
at Target.
certain
You have
stores.
to go buy Vienna sausages at the dollar store.
or go into a store and wait in a box until somebody can come and wrap you inside of a bubble and take you into the store and allow you to shop it down like 3 different aisles. And then
it's not much further to think about you being in line and someone be able to cut in front of you because they have a higher score. Can you imagine? That's Black
like
Mirror
Disneyland
shit.
Fast Pass. They just like I got
literally that's like Black Mirror stuff. Like, oh, I'm here to buy food for my family, and someone's like, "Get that out
this
of
is
the
a
way.
bad article. I did notice that.
I'm buying this. I'm going to go ahead of you because I'm so much better." But we've watched a lot of bad things happen in the past few years. Alex Jones, a lot of us were saying, hey, man, it doesn't matter who it is. This can't happen to anybody. Whether you hate him, it can't happen to anybody. And everyone's like, no, it's just him. It's fine because it's him. But, but we've seen so many people do so many bad things and ignore what could happen. And when I saw that they started talking about this with universal healthcare, and even the craziest people were like, no, you could do bad things to me. I'm not going to let you do that. I was like, finally, it took a lot, but finally everyone can see that if you give them some power, it'll eventually come back to control you, no matter what side you're on.
Yeah, Sean, I don't know, man. I think we've seen a very, very ugly side of people who are politically left of center, especially here in the United States. I think we've seen an extremely ugly side. And there's been kind of a festering rot inside of the Democrat Party for a number of years now. And it's going to piss some people off because he's their golden boy, but it started with Obama. That guy, within a couple of weeks of taking office, continued drone strikes and then expanded drone strikes. And then all of a sudden, all the hippies from the anti-war left just friggin' disappeared. All these people who were peace and love in the summer of love, 1969, when they were still alive and they saw this guy make office, they were like, well, we were probably wrong. It's okay. It's okay. We can go bomb, poor brown people on the other side of the world now. That's fine. That's our party values now. And it's like everything has been dismantled from the inside. And this is not me saying that I'm like anti-Democrat or anti-Republican.
No, it's a breakdown of human values and morals.
Yeah, that's it. You hit it right there, dude. Remember, everyone used to talk about the crazy uncle, crazy racist uncle, crazy whatever, that family member. But they're your family members, so you love them. And you put up with it, and you're like, you're crazy. You know that. You're crazy, Uncle John. That's so wrong. And now they don't let Uncle John come. That's what has happened as families are like, Uncle John can't come to Christmas because he is no good.
He doesn't know how to handle himself. He doesn't know how to act proper.
Uncle John, you have failed this family. You're canceled.
He doesn't know how to be a sheeple.
But if people don't, they're not accepting. I mean, I have friends that are, kind of assholes, but I'm like, you're my friend, you're an asshole, but you put up with stuff because they're your friend. But now people are just so much more conditioned to cutting people, unfriending. That wasn't a fucking word 20 years ago. Unfriending.
No, dude, it's a crazy world we live in. I've got about 15 minutes, and we got 2 stories left to cover. Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying this conversation. We need to have a non-crypto related conversation about current events and stuff. And Seth, you're more than welcome. I want to do a little bit more of these kind of roundtables with just kind of talking about what's
that reminds me, I
going
have to talk to you,
thoughts.
Seth, afterwards.
Okay,
yeah, right.
So yeah, let's definitely talk afterwards. IRS calls cryptocurrencies and NFTs a mountain of fraud. I just want to mention the fact that obviously the IRS thinks they're losing billions of dollars worth of tax revenue, a lot of it being cryptocurrency. But one of the focus of these articles that I noticed was more of celebrities. Now, obviously, they are going on a huge hiring spree. So they're probably going to be going after retail investors, utilizing the centralized exchanges, their database and information, Coinbase, etc. But all of these various celebrities and influencers who have been on social media talking about projects they've been involved in. They mentioned Floyd Mayweather and DJ Khaled being ones that have federal charges. I mean, obviously,
DJ Khaled, yeah, another one.
Yeah. So it's crazy, but I mean, I think it's kind of been a given that the IRS is going to, because they've been kind of slack in a lot of areas, and I feel like this may have something to do with a little bit of the executive order that's going to be in place. That's one of the things I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to.
NFTs gave regular people the same ability like fine art did to the elites. It's a way to move money around. I can see what they're saying, but people don't know what they are. This is a friend of mine posted this. It says, "Yeah, I'm into NFTs, noses, feet, and teeths." And then all the comments were like, "But what does NFT mean?" And then she said, "Oh my God, it's a whole thing. I don't know enough about it, but it's a total scam. I don't know about it, but it's a total scam." So I, of course, went off. I said, "Your face is a scam." And then, and I love that girl. I love this girl very much.
Your face is a scam.
It sounds like something you'd say on Tinder, right? When you start chatting and you're like, "This is not going my way." Well, you're a scam.
Don't start me on the Tinder thing. I got the story for that.
Here's the thing, man. I mean,
I'm telling people what it is.
Don't be afraid of what you don't know.
Explains it to them. He goes, "No. It's a currency. It's a cryptocurrency, and it's a what is it? And one is it's a platform that you can text on." I was like, "What?" So I'm like, "It's not a currency. That would make it fungible because everyone could use it." I had to but it was so frustrating, man. And people don't know. So it's very easy for the IRS or whatever to put anything out there because people have no idea. Whatever you tell them it is what they're going to believe that it is.
Yeah, no, people aren't going to take the time to look into things themselves when they definitely 100% should. But when it comes to people not knowing what things are and just assuming or being afraid of technology because they don't understand it, I don't understand how televisions really work, how they're able to get a picture from a device onto my TV and I can rewind it. Yeah, it still blows my mind. I'm not even sure about how email works. It seems like a form of black magic. But I mean, I still utilize these technologies, and so people don't necessarily have to have a full comprehension as to what these things are. Just realize the impact of the change that they can make, and the disruption that can be caused.
Yeah, I agree with that, Rice. As far as like the whole like race car driver versus race car mechanic analogy or whatever, like if you want to just jump in and hit the gas pedal and just go fast, like I get that for sure. Though I don't totally disagree with the IRS's assessment. I think that within cryptocurrency and NFTs, there are a mountain of scams, but to call all of it a mountain of scams, I think is incorrect.
Well, I mean,
it's not really the IRS's. It's not the IRS's place to investigate scams either.
No. Not at all.
They're just
Yeah.
supposed to deal with tax revenue and what that encompasses. So I mean, that's
are
another.
Are they really?
Well, they're trying to break encryption on Monero blockchain.
No, you don't have to
offering
worry
up
about that, dude. You don't have to worry about it
bounties.
because income tax is temporary. It's
Oh,
temporary
great.
and it's very small.
That's okay then. So
Yeah.
after World War II, it's over, right?
And I think it was a little before that, but it was World War I, I believe.
It was a long
Yeah.
temporary. I
And
think
it was what, 0.5%?
they changed the
0.5%?
definition of temporary to permanent.
Did they really do that?
They can do anything they want.
Temporarily permanent.
It's it's temporarily permanent.
Yeah.
It's permanent
Figuratively, literally.
temporarily.
Like the Patriot Act. It's temporarily permanent.
Yeah, we're just going to take away everything you have. Temporarily permanent.
No, I think it's more permanently temporary. That actually fits better.
Well, I think it's hilarious, extremely funny that the IMF is now urging El Salvador to drop Bitcoin as a legal tender.
If that's true, that is one of the funniest things ever.
And it's funny that the first story that we talked about and mentioned is a state in the United States wanting to make Bitcoin legal tender, and then now you have the International Monetary Fund, and it goes back to what Hillary Clinton said in that little piece with, I think it was an IMF meeting that she was in, when she says that Bitcoin has the potential to undermine the US dollar as a world reserve currency.
And it could hurt these smaller countries.
Yeah. Hey, Hillary Clinton, if you happen to be watching for whatever reason, I'm sorry, to IMF. I'll look past her.
Yeah,
IMF,
Christine,
you need better friends.
Former Christine Lagarde, who was with the IMF, she's a big fan of the show. She watches quite often.
You're right, and that's just it.
Wasn't she convicted of crimes in New York?
Do what?
Wasn't she convicted of crimes in New York?
No, not her.
No, that's the head of all the money for the EU. That's right.
Yeah, I think she's with the EU.
But
bank, the EU.
Okay, so the IMF threatened. The IMF went after. The IMF fought. If they're literally pleading now, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I personally think that if Brazil goes, it's South America's lost to them.
The president does not.
They're going to lose.
He's not going to back down on this. The president is not. I mean, they don't benefit from the IMF, and as long as they can be an example that other nations can do the same thing, then they're going to be a threat to the IMF, because the IMF ultimately wants all the nations to be held into them so that they can control them. And we're seeing that happen
I've seen stories about 3 weeks ago, a month ago, that were, look at El Salvador. This Bitcoin experiment is total flop. It's ruining everything. And I was like, what? And it's obvious it was propaganda put out by the IMF. They have fought and attacked and went after them. And I said before, if Brazil goes the way of El Salvador, the IMF knows they've lost South America.
It might talked about how big the economy Brazil is.
It's the powerhouse of South America.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. If they follow suit, the IMF knows that they've lost South America, and that's the beginning. But even a
country like Venezuela, where they're turning to cryptocurrencies as a way to preserve what value that they have in their currencies, versus keeping it in the national currency because it's the hyperinflation. Even though that nation doesn't have the same type of GDP in effect that Brazil does, it makes the use case more. It makes it more legit because people are using
it. Makes the argument for the use case more legit
versus a country saying it's legal, because Venezuela has not legalized cryptocurrencies in that aspect.
Mm.
I mean, they haven't made it illegal because, I believe they had their own. I'm not sure. I'm not even really sure what's going on with that cryptocurrency that you're talking about launching that was supposed to be backed by their petrol and such. I don't even. I know that U.S. investors were not allowed to invest in it, but I don't know anything beyond that.
Yeah,
but I find it.
That was the same time that the president of Venezuela you're talking about. That was the same time that he was saying like, oh, you can pay your taxes in Bitcoin, or we can any fees here, nationally you can pay in Bitcoin. We kind of internationally we kind of panned that news because at the time it was like, unfortunately this guy is a little bit too totalitarian. We don't want him buying up stores of Bitcoin. We don't want him having control of the Bitcoin in Venezuela. So So yeah, I'm not. Yeah, we seem to have forgotten that
Which
happened.
nation, which South Pacific island was this? If you remember, I am. 2 years ago, South Pacific Island nation backed down from Bitcoin.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot of that's been the leader has been island nations.
Yeah, and then they ultimately, because they can't afford to be cut off, because a lot of times they need this aid, and the aid allows for these
the distribution of aid
control.
and the distribution of money, like especially after I think that the last one, it was either Jamaica or Haiti or somewhere. They had a plan they were working on, but they had a real bad hurricane.
You see this guy telling the IMF to F off, to IMF off.
So all their ATMs were gone. Their whole banking system was down. So all they had was people with cell phones. So that's what they started. They started the digital coin, the cryptocurrency, because they had to. It was the only way for them to distribute the money that they had gotten in relief. Yeah. You couldn't get money into the hands of people and get from that people to vendors to buy.
Well, they almost talked about trying to escalate something in the United States when they were talking about giving money to people in the multiple airdrops that we got from the U.S. government. There was mention of going in a digital route.
It's funny to call them airdrops.
Yeah. Pretty much what it is.
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine, he's from the Cook Islands, and he really wants to start a Cook coin and a proposal and bring it to the prime minister. I had no idea how small the Cook Islands were, but it's a island nation. It's falls under the protectorate of New Zealand. But he said there's only 30,000 people on the 15 or 17 islands. Jeez. I looked it up, and there's only 17,500. So it's probably in between there. But their whole economy is based on tourism. That's it, 100% tourism. So the past 2 years have crushed the economy. But he really wants to get this going. So I'm trying to help him work on it to get it started and get a proposal for him to take. But I know it's going to be a huge fight when it comes to to the IMF. But hopefully it'll be a little bit easier because they're protected by the Five Eyes. They're they're protected by Australia and New Zealand, and they're like part of, I forget what it's like Puerto Rico. They're like Puerto Rico is to us, but that's what they are to New Zealand.
Okay, still that's tiny though, man. You're saying only a couple dozen thousand people. Seriously, a bad cold and flu season could wipe out half the coin holders. It's a mistake.
My town has twice as many people as this whole country.
You could have a town meeting and everybody would be.
But he says no. Cook Islands are bigger than Texas. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, if you include the ocean, it's the same size. In between the islands, he said it's the exact same size almost. I'm like, all right,
he's not wrong. If you include all the fish between those points as well as in the number of souls that exist within those borders, he's right.
But it looks like an amazing place. We need to have a meetup there, convention.
A convention,
dude. They have it's all it is. It's literally just like
that would pretty much do it. Sean, that would do it right there. That would bootstrap their plan right away. Just have a couple of kickoff events where they talk about like, hey, we are inviting people here right now to go over what we can do to bootstrap our economy. By the way, the price of admission is a major, like a cornerstone cryptocurrency, like top 5 or whatever. It has to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, or one of these stables. And that's the only way you can gain admission is by paying in those. And then they build a treasury up.
I think that's something we should make part of the proposal, man.
Yeah, let's we'll talk briefly after we're done here. We'll just get ready to wrap up. I want to encourage people to check out this video I did with Seth about the MYB privacy de-Google phone. If you use the code Chris Rice at checkout on his website over on MineYour.Biz /phone, you will get 10% off. Is that what it was, Seth?
It depends on the model, but yeah, it's up to 10% off.
Up to 10% off. And you said the refurbished ones, the renewed ones are pretty good deals, right?
They're great. Yeah. That's actually what I use is only renewed.
Okay.
I don't buy brand new.
because that's what you're recommending for me, and I appreciate. So if people are interested, they can, it'll be linked down below in the video description. Just make sure you're using Chris Rice, all one word, at checkout, so that you can support the channel and get up to 10% off. And then make sure that you're checking out Seth's YouTube channel, MineYour.Biz. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not. Make sure you're going over to Satoshi Sean's channel. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. You guys got anything you want to add before we wrap up? Seth?
Exciting times, man. That's all I got to add. These are exciting times. I hope that we do see that crypto super PAC, though, like you're saying, Chris. And I hope that you're the face of it. Real talk.
Well, I want to get a lot of people involved, but I appreciate, and I mean, I want to have this as many politically minded people that care about these kind of situations. And I'd even like to reach out to some politicians and potentially get them involved, like McHenry, since he's here.
That last video I just did before this show with Greg from Rivet, he designed all the voting software and everything for the state of I think Indiana. He's done a lot of political stuff when it comes to technology. But me and him are starting Mega Texas. It's the state of what is it? The United Counties of Mega Texas.
United States of Megadeth, Texas.
No, United Counties of Mega Texas.
Texas.
But he's been talking about that, starting it down. Mega Texas, MEGA, Mega Texas.
I thought we were like MECHA.
Yeah, Mega Texas.
No, that
would
transforms
be like into a giant
Voltron.
It's
Mega Texas.
But he's been talking about a political DAO, and the money that could be, because someone was it. I am for AM said it wouldn't be enough. That takes the gloves off money, dude. You can
you can have focus. You can have more focus. You can have more focused DAOs. You can have a pack DAO as like like the main kind of thing, and then you can have smaller DAOs underneath of it that are more focused in different areas, or just multiple DAOs that are focusing in different areas.
And that's something that's so huge. I mean, like you look at the DAOs created to buy the Declaration of Independence. There's like kind of silly things have raised millions of bucks. If you're talking about something for real change.
I saw the Fry DAO.
EOS raised $4 billion in 2018, man, or 2017, 2018. Like everything after that whole ICO craze and new launch craze is like, what isn't possible now?
And it really can give more power back to people. So I mean, like I've seen if I remember what I saw correctly, it was the Fry DAO, and they're talking about trying to obtain fast food restaurants. So, I mean, if you could have, as a DAO, make investments into real properties that create income.
I wanted to talk about that, and I'm sorry, I'm not. I wish you wouldn't end the show because I wanted to bring that up. All the property.
Well, some of these ideas, we don't need to have like public discussions on live streams and stuff. We can talk privately so that we can keep these ideas.
I was seeing about BlackRock and Zillow and these corporations who are buying up all of the affordable housing in like San Francisco and all these areas.
Yeah, but they're also overpaying for things too, where people can't really necessarily.
Right, they're over, but that's the thing. People are not going to be able to.
We're going to timeshare a 1-bedroom apartment.
A place to live.
Only in San Francisco, baby.
People are going to have to rent
3 families at a time in a 1-bedroom apartment, and we're going to split it into NFTs.
It's a Silicon Valley dream. Yeah.
I'm going to do an Ula Noodle Ramen DAO. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to end the show. Let's have a real quick chat. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to all of our channels. Links are down below. Links are below for everything that we talked about as far as the news articles. Make sure you smash that like button. Helps other people to find these videos in the YouTube algorithm flow. And I appreciate you, gentlemen. Appreciate you guys joining me today, and I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Much love.
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
And then one more area that I hope nation states start paying greater attention to is the rise of cryptocurrency, because what looks like a very interesting and somewhat exotic effort to literally mine new coins in order to trade with them has the potential for undermining currencies, for undermining the role of the dollar as the reserve currency, for destabilizing nations, perhaps starting with small ones, but going much larger. So when we think about